Israel has just been attacked by the Houthis from Yemen, right? The terrorist force supported by Iran in Yemen has just launched a kamikaze drone, an explosive drone, against Israeli targets. I even prepared a little map to show you. Yes, it happened in the south of Israel, right at the southernmost tip of Israel. Today we had this attack. Usually when the Houthis launch, look guys, just so you understand the distance, I think it was a lot. But it's just so you can get a sense of how far the Houthis are from Israel, okay? Yeah, it's something new here on the channel. We're bringing this kind of content, covering world events almost in real time. So here's Yemen, okay? Yeah, in the south of Saudi Arabia, it has coastline along the Red Sea and the Arabian Sea, right? And so on. The Strait of Aden, okay? Aden. If you look here, see, zooming in, so the ships pass through here to cross into the Red Sea. Right, which is the one showing here on the cursor, and following here, see? It reaches the south of Israel, the Sinai Peninsula, and crosses the Suez Canal, right? That's the maritime route. And the Houthis? Houthis launched the missiles exactly from this region of Yemen. Okay? They occupy a very large area here in Yemen since the Yemeni civil war, which divided the country into practically two parts, right? One allied with Saudi Arabia and the West, consequently, and the other allied with Iran, right? And Iran arms them. Look at that. So the missiles, they come from here in Yemen and often come through the Red Sea, missiles and drones, right? Today it was a drone, a kamikaze drone, an explosive drone. It traveled 1,800, almost 2,000 kilometers to reach the city of Eilat in the south of Israel. Look, let's check it out here. So you come in here, you have, the thing here is 880, right? This mouse. Here, right? But it works. We're far south in Israel, and actually, look, it's right here. If you press here, it shows the alerts, right? Drone alert in Eilat. Look at that, right? Yeah, and now information is already coming in about what happened. We also have the footage production of these, of the attacks that happened there. I believe we can show it to those who are watching me now as well. Folks, so the south of Israel was attacked. 48 people have already been identified as injured. Look at the drone, folks. And the IDF wasn't able to shoot down this drone in time. Usually the IDF shoots down drones even with helicopters, right? The Iron Dome. But this drone, and you can notice in the images that it's actually a pretty slow drone, right? So what made the IDF let this drone get through? It's hard to believe this happened, but it's a reality. It crashed into a center. It crashed into a tourist center. Well, not crashed, right? It hit a tourist center near a hotel. Still, no one is saying if it was the hotel or not. Whether it was the hotel or just nearby, it hit a very busy area in Israel. 48 people were injured, including 2 men in serious condition, and another 17 who were slightly injured by shrapnel. Yeah, after the drone, right, was launched by the Houthis. The Houthis claimed responsibility for the drone attack that night. In this case, late afternoon in Israel. Yeah, Brazil is 6 hours behind, right? Israeli time. Yeah, the drone fell near a hotel in a city in southern Israel, according to the public broadcaster Can. Several hostel rooms near the site of the accident were damaged. Here it says hostel in the translation because I'm directly on an Israeli website, right, in English. But I believe it's more like an inn, okay? A hostel or a hotel, something like that, okay? Yeah, several rooms in this hotel were damaged according to the Fire and Rescue Department in Israel. Show more images. The MDA paramedic arrived. The paramedics arrived at the scene and began treating the injured. And all 48 were evacuated to the Yosef Tal Medical Center. In the vicinity, including the 2 victims in serious condition. One of them is a 60-year-old man with serious injuries to his limbs. The other victim in serious condition is a 26-year-old man with shrapnel wounds to his chest. The Israeli Defense Forces stated that the incident is under investigation and that the Israeli Air Force made 2 unsuccessful interception attempts with Iron Dome missile launchers. Search and rescue teams are operating in the area. One of the reasons, guys, that leads the IDF, the Israeli Air Force, to not be able to intercept. These drones fly very low. Look at the moment it approaches the target. It's flying very low. So for the radars, for the Iron Dome, which is the system that intercepts at low altitudes and short range, the drone is flying very low. Even for it. Look, it's relatively slow, but given the difficulty for the radars, because then it starts moving among trees, buildings, and obstacles. It makes it much harder, but it's a flaw. Usually the IDF manages to intercept. As a last resort, they even send a helicopter. Right? Look, this drone traveled almost 2,000 kilometers to reach the target. So it takes off from Yemen. Look. Put it up there for us. The little map. See, it starts here in Yemen. Look, I'll zoom out a little. Let me see. Yeah. We're improving this tool. So it leaves Yemen here, look, and travels all this distance until it reaches the south of Israel. Is that right? So that's what happened. Israel also, I want to take this opportunity. Israel is also operating here in the Gaza Strip. So we have Israel, okay? Let's zoom in a little bit. Here is the state of Israel. Do you see it here? This whole region from north to south. Up there, Lebanon. Here, look, here are the hills. Golan Heights, Syria. Is that right? Let's see if I can show it better to you here. And this is Jordan. So it's Jordan, right? So here we have Israel, okay? Look, here is the state of Israel. It's this whole region. Here is the north, Lebanon, okay? Here's Syria. Syria is huge, and here, Jordan. Israel is surrounded by Arab countries, and here, where it's blue, is the expanded border that Israel created, a buffer zone inside Syria. Right, increasing its security zone. In fact, this is being discussed there with the new terrorist president. The former terrorist. Right, they say former terrorist. If there is such a thing as a former terrorist. Right, but let's say he is a former terrorist. Al-Diolani, the new Syrian president, precisely about these security areas. Israel is no longer willing to leave these areas because that's what guarantees security so that hostile groups like Al-Qaeda, Islamic State, even Hezbollah, right, can't reach Israel. And now, currently, Israel is operating here in the Gaza Strip. Israel is fighting on 7 different battlefronts, okay? Iran, Yemen, Syria, Lebanon, Gaza, and the And here, Jordan, right? Yes, Jordan. The West Bank, right? Judea and Samaria. Is that correct? Yeah, let's go here. So Israel is carrying out a major operation here. Look, in this region. That's right. Look, in the city of Gaza, guys. In fact, today, there were reports that the terrorists were using a hospital to target the Israeli Defense Forces. They stormed the hospital, and from the hospital, they were shooting at Israel, right? And then, that's a very serious problem. Why? Because they use civilians, right? They use civilian sites, hospitals, schools. What else? Public facilities precisely to attack the IDF from those places, okay? And then, when Israel bombs those places, right? It looks like Israel attacked a hospital. Israel attacked a school. And in reality, the Hamas terrorists go into these places and strategically use these locations precisely to cause Israel to make a mistake, right? God forbid, and may God protect Israel. Of hitting a hospital and having sick people there, right? Dying because Israel went to shoot at a terrorist, right? That's what the terrorists try to inflict on Israel every day. So the operations are advancing in the Gaza Strip, right? Meanwhile, in the air, right? There's talk of a possible ceasefire in the coming days, or maybe even in the next few hours. Some Arab news agencies reported that Trump would announce a ceasefire in the coming days. Others say it could even be tonight. So, we are waiting. Israel has not made any official statement regarding a ceasefire, But the proposal basically is that Israel would implement a ceasefire. Hamas would hand over the hostages to Israel after 20 days of ceasefire, and they would leave the Gaza Strip and hand over their weapons. This is the proposal from Donald Trump from the United States to Hamas, okay? Arab countries would take control of Gaza, which is this whole strip of land here. So for 3 years, these Arab countries would control the Gaza Strip, right? Which is this whole area here, okay? Which Arab countries? There's Egypt, there's Qatar, there's Saudi Arabia, maybe the United Arab Emirates. Which countries would want to take over this region? This is a huge problem, guys. Whoever takes on the responsibility for security will have to fight insurgent groups. It's not just Hamas here. There are several other Islamist factions, among others, Abu Shabat and more. They are enemies among themselves, but some of them are even supporting Israel against Hamas. But will they support a force, an international coalition of Arab countries managing and controlling the Gaza Strip? That's what we're going to find out. This announcement could happen at any moment, but given the demands of the American proposal, it's unlikely that Hamas will accept it. Even more so now since France, Canada, Portugal, among other European countries, including Australia, have recognized the Palestinian state. So, what now? With all this support that Hamas has received from European countries and allies, do you think Hamas will lay down their arms? That's what we're going to find out. Alright, well, here are the latest urgent updates, right? We're getting new information about the victims of this attack in Israel. So, a kamikaze drone hit the south of Iceland. There are already 48 victims, at least 2 of them in serious condition. And as soon as updates come in, we'll keep you updated.
Atualizando.
Here on the channel, I want to invite you to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and leave a like on the video. I'm Simone Oliveira, and I'll see you next time.